So the difference between a primary and secondary, I don't think I have to look at another side to find a secondary. There are not any secondary follicles in this one. What's the difference between a primary and a secondary?
Is the quantity of the electron?
These are actually primaries right here. So how are you going to tell the difference between a primary and a secondary? The size, for one, is right. It's a lot smaller than the graphene. You know that can't be a mature one, right? So this is the oocyte in here with the DNA, the 23 chromosomes. These cells, they look like simple columnar, but usually they're a single layer of simple cuboidal or more than one layer of simple cuboidal. That's the primary follicles. Okay? So this one is a primary follicle, this one up here, this one, this one, this one. All those are primary. There's actually a stage right before that called the primordial. It looks a lot like this one, except instead of simple cuboidal, it's just simple squamous cells around it. So the primordial is not listed on the lab list, but it will be talked about in lecture on Thursday. So for primary, just look for the oocyte with simple cuboidal cells, one or more layers around them. Now, what do you look for a secondary, which is the next stage?
Didn't you say it was like atrium coming from both like areas, like on the top and the
Instead of,
bottom?
it's going to be larger than the primary, of course. You're going to start to see breaks in the simple cuboidal layers of fluid-filled spaces. So you're not going to see a big one like this, but you're going to see one or more spaces start to form. That is a secondary follicle between the cuboidal cells. So there'll be a lot more cuboidal layers with the secondary, a lot more than this. Okay? So it'll be bigger, and between those cuboidal cells, you'll start to see fluid-filled spaces form. But it won't be a big one like in the graphene. So I'm going to look and see if I can find a slide that has some secondary on it. Okay? But this one is not.
Yeah, the one in the lab had only the primaries.
Yeah, but it just, you'll see this distinctive, right, kind of white background in between some of those simple cuboidal cells in a secondary. And you'll still see the oocyte in the middle. It'll just be fluid-filled spaces starting to form around it. All right, any other questions on that? And those develop in response to FSH from the anterior pituitary of the female.